want to thank you all for being here tonight. This is the 6th edition of Stepping Into Ourselves, a gathering of priestesses. We have been blessed with some absolutely fabulous women who have been speaking here for the last few nights, and tonight we have 2 more of them. And in fact, tonight we have 2 doctors. We have Dr. Devorah Gren and Dr. Carmen Roman, newly minted, just received her PhD. So although I didn't put it in the invitation, I want to be sure that everybody knows that, because that is a lot of work, and she's come a long way to get to that place. And she'll tell you more about it as we talk. And of course, Devorah, you've just been working away for so long. Your list of credits is huge, and everyone's received your bio, so I'm not going to go back over it, but you can talk about those things that are important to you as we move forward. I have to do a little bit of business here. I wanted to remind everybody that what we're here with is the book, that Stepping Into Ourselves, which is published by Goddess Inc. There are 50 authors in this book, and we're having about 34 of them are going to be on the show between now and the 1st of August, either as representing themselves or are speaking for some of the other authors who've gone on to somewhere else. The great beyond. So anyway, I want to thank you for being here. I can see that we've got a few people, and we have a few more people signing on as we do. So I'm going to do a little shuffling here while we get the people signing on right at 6 o'clock. I want to say again, this is Stepping Into Ourselves, the 6th edition, with Devorah Gren and Carmen Roman, PhDs. I'm very impressed, because I never got that far. I got to ABD. And I didn't.
That's pretty good.
And then they started telling me the rules and the people I had to work with, and it didn't work anymore. So anyway, let's start this evening by talking with Dr. Gren first. So you have had an illustrious career for 20 years? The Lilith Institute. You have you're the head of another university. Why don't you tell us what drew you to the path of a priestess? I mean, obviously you're a education teacher, what have you. The priestess, that's another layer of complication. What caused you to come that way?
Well, it's a layer that is foundational for the rest of my work, actually. I founded the Lilith Institute in '97 and found myself starting to do what were priestess functions, although I didn't immediately name them as such, and I came to recognize them as that, and then got very curious about the role of the ancient priestess within Judaism, because there's no name for that, and there is now, but there wasn't at the time, and no recognition of that as a role. So it became a really key part of my research, even though I ended up doing something entirely different when I was first trying to decide in '99 what I would do my doctorate on. I started to investigate and went to Israel, went to the Archaeological Society in Jerusalem, and discovered, as I was investigating some catacombs and research done by Bernadette Bruton into the role of women leaders in the ancient synagogue about 2,000 years ago, and found an archaeological report that equated the word Kohenet, which is the feminization of Kohen, a priest in Hebrew, and acknowledged that as Kohenet equals priestess, it said in this book, one of 3 huge volumes on these digs. And for me, that represented a whole range of possibilities and a range of women who might have, in fact, been Kohanot. But both my cousin, who was in her 80s at the time, and the librarian immediately nixed that idea and said, no, a Kohenet had to be the wife or the daughter of a priest. And I thought that there had to be other women who were doing these functions outside of the formal official temple, And so that drove a lot of my early work and early research. And now there is a Kohenet Priestess Training Institute, and you have one of the co-founders as part of this anthology, Jill Hemmer.
Yes.
So it's wonderful because now there are about 30 actually ordained Kohanot and another 15 or so coming up. And so that's very gratifying to see. I was on the founding advisory board of that institute, and it's as I say, very exciting to see this role really roll itself out into.
Yes, Rabbi Jill Hammer was on last week, and she's fascinating, to put it mildly.
Yes.
I frankly found what she has done rather remarkable, and all of you. I mean, one of my friends, she says, I don't know if I want to watch this show anymore. These women have accomplished so much. And I said, well, you know, you have too. And she says, well, I don't know. There are all these big ones. So, you know, it's like you've got founded schools and institutes and what have you.
We got to stop that comparison game and look at what
and what I told her is that, you know, all of us have equally achieved incredible things in order to get here today.
Yeah.
Wherever we started from. So, Carmen, you started from a very, very different background, one that the priest was preeminent. Where was the call for you that caused you to step into the point where you would say, I am a priestess, as you did in your biography?
Yeah, talking about accomplishments, I am coming from the background of the accomplishment is measured by your impact in the community, rather by the degrees that you achieve. So my grandma and my mom particularly was very active in the community as a social worker that in that time she didn't have any title to do it. It was just the need in the community to have one. And I never called it priestesses. I just did it. I just grew up that way. My mom will be helping families and giving them tea and providing support. And my father will do it with her. And when I came, I also founded an institute, a center for psychotherapy in Guadalajara, in Mexico, because I think when we are priestess, these things comes naturally. It comes with a role, I guess. And when I came here to the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology to study, actually I went with some classes to Deborah in the Women's Spirituality program. I started learning that what they call priestess and what they do, it was very similar that in the way I grew up. And then I start reflecting back, and I say, actually, we really have a whole lineage of priestesses, and we know who is the next one. So it was a very organic and natural way. It wasn't no names or titles, right?
Yeah, so you just went back home to visit your family, and back in Mexico, correct?
They were here.
No, they were here.
They came.
Yeah. So what do they think about what you've achieved?
I don't think so. I have that much sense of what I am doing, other than being crazy and studying 10 hours a day for 7 days a week. So I don't think so that they are proud of whatever I do, but they don't have this really sense of what does mean a PhD or what does mean a degree or something. I think for my parents it's more important the work that I am doing. Like I work with the Latino families here, or I go to work in the field with the field workers, and for them to see the community, how they relate to each other, for them is the best thing. It's like oh yeah, it's a natural part of our being in the world.
Right. Yeah.
So they celebrate with me the academic accomplishment, but they celebrate more my impact in the community.
Well, I think that's fabulous, and it's just that, you know, you to be able to, because I believe you told me you didn't even speak English whenever you first began studying to come to the U.S. To be able.
Yeah, when I came. Yeah, I came 7 years ago, and I wanted to do the PhD. So I needed to study and prove the TOEFL grades and all of this, but I didn't quite understand what people were talking in the class, or I did the incorrect assignment several times, or something like that. But I already had the license in psychology in Mexico, and I have been therapy for many years, so the content seems familiar, and some words, some technical words seems familiar.
Yeah.
So it was mostly the writing and speaking in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're exploring here is the idea of being a priestess as part of our calling, as part of a larger pattern. That this is not just about being, saying this. It's something we do in the world, and it's how we express ourselves. It's not so much the name on our title on the door as it is as who we are and who we are expressing out into the world, how we're expressing ourselves, whether it's working with the field workers or working with women or working with anyone else. So, Devora, what would you say has been one of the ways that you, in particular, have worked as a priestess and as an educator at the same time? Because those sometimes are not complementary roles. I realize you say it is the foundation, but...
Say that again?
I said, I realize that you said that was your foundation, but still, having been in the educational system, I know that sometimes...
No, I really meant my inner foundation.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I meant. So it's interesting. I would answer that two ways. Within the academy, actually, Carmen taught a class with me that I did on the Priestess a couple of years ago, and I think perhaps then we both became even more aware of the different definitions and how they play out in the course of our daily lives. As Carmen said, she talked about the roles in the community, which I saw in my doctoral research in South Africa, where women without declared titles and who might even say, oh no, I'm not that person, they had final say about any major decision. The sister of the chief of a village would have the final say about anything. They did some of the rituals that we would consider the work of a priestess here, either sort of intermediary, speaking to deity on behalf of the community, speaking to the ancestors, asking for things or thanking them for things. So a number of different roles in everyday life. At the same time, we were teaching it in the academy, so we were also going over, I would go over different tasks that people would do. For example, one of the roles is funerary work, so if you're working with death and dying, doing certain rituals around death, certainly around birth blessings, and so on. And so teaching that in the academy and teaching that if you are a priest or priestess in certain traditions, you have to have a specific amount of time, a specific amount of training in order to be initiated. For example, in the Yoruba tradition, in the Kohanot tradition, it's it's more than a year and a day, as it might be in Wicca or in pagan traditions. And so different religious or spiritual traditions have their own definitions, and they are often tied to a certain amount of training. And so one of the things we grapple with is what happens if people think they know how to go do a few things and then start calling themselves a priestess in the community, and how does one do it from a responsible, ethical place is a key concern, I think, to both of us.
I agree with you, and as a dedicated tarot reader for many, many years, I have trouble with someone who has picked up a book and memorized the definitions and calls themselves a tarot reader. And in fact, have in the past had to tell people, no, you can't read tarot at my event if you've just started. You have to have more experience. And I mean, that's a much finer, you're not necessarily dealing, but with the same issues, but in a way you are. You're dealing with life and death and love and who's people actually give you a great deal of responsibility, whether you're a priest or priestess or a tarot reader or a counselor. There is a giving over of responsibility that you are supposed to know better, so that you know more than they do. So I think that it's really important that I know we have several people who are listening in from other places in the world. We had a woman from France register today. We have a woman from Brazil who's been listening regularly, and another one from Australia. She listens to the recording later. And, they're looking at this as, okay, well, how does this reflect on me? I feel this call. I feel this desire. And I want to walk in understanding and in integrity with this. So, both of you, I'd like you to comment, for those who are coming up who haven't had the time frame. I mean, Carmen, you've had years of experience as training in psychological development. And then you also, I believe you were a counselor for Priest at one point. Is that correct? Yeah. So, you're basically telling the bosses what they've got to do. So how do you hold that integrity in such a way that you can say, yes, I am a priestess, and here is what I do, and not step into the place of Miss Know-It-All, or not step into the place of, getting yourself in trouble? Carmen, would you like to comment?
Yes, I think it comes with life experience, because I definitely went to a place that I know it all, and I certainly can say it all. So when I was 18, I came into the psychology bachelor degree, but I was already functioning as a helper, assistant for my mom in her community as a priest. So it was very easy for me to understand and to click into the knowledge of psychology. And my career was pretty fast. It evolved extremely fast. At 21 or 22, I was doing counseling for families. At 26, I was supervising and teaching. And so it was so fast in Mexico that I thought it was something that I define now. I thought it was my person. I didn't thought it was a shared responsibility with the humanity. So when I think when we separate ourselves, like, it's only me, I am the only one, I am special, this is when we do more mistakes. Because it's not only me, we are special. It goes, I think the universe gets help from every woman that is ready for it. And we just do our little part, and then we share with other women or with other men. So it was painful, the realization that it was not me as a person, that I was not that special. And money sometimes comes with it, or recognition, or TV, or newspapers, or something like that. It's nothing really that really defines that whether you are good or not at what you are. It only defines whether you are good at talking. Yeah.
Right.
So it is very it is very useful to have, like in my case, I have shamanism. I went into a training with a shaman, and he was really disciplined, strict with me, and getting back to the basics. It's like, are you able to be grateful? Are you able to be out of the way for the grow or the other person to evolve, and all of this? So this helped me a lot to go back to who I am now.
Yeah, I find shaman typically have the ability to humble you. So Deborah,
I think it's important to who you study with, that you do study with somebody, that you have some counsel. I think, Carmen, you have several types of counsel, and over the years we've had different people that we've learned from, and I think that's part of how we stay responsible. Also, I think that one of the markers is when people come to you for particular things, that is also a way of determining who has this role in the community. And I remember, Carmen, you described in the Priestess class in your presentation, I think you were talking about your grandmother, actually, and what people come to her for, yes? And who is the heir apparent after her, and so on. So it's a recognition by the community of certain skills that we may sometimes not even know we possess.
I think I was going to say, I think one of the things we've lost here is the recognition by the community, because most of us are in instant community. You know, we move around a lot. It's not like we live where our grandparents or our great-grandparents or even beyond that live. Whereas Carmen grew up in a community where there were lines going back. I know who you are because I knew your great-grandmother. And I think that that's one of the issues that, particularly here in America, somewhat in Canada and other places, we move around and there is no indication of who we were. And we create instant community, and because we say we are who we are, they sort of go, well, until proven different, we're willing to accept that. So, Carmen, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, what I was saying is, for me, it was very important to grow up in the indigenous tradition, because it really, when you are in the very humble place, you communicate with animals, like one of your interviews was saying a few weeks ago. You communicate with animals, you communicate with the plants, you communicate with, and they don't lie to you. Yeah. Doesn't matter how important or how many things you did. If you're not able to connect with the animal will reflect that to you that day. So I think this is part of the being humble tradition for me, because we didn't stay in the same community. My grandma grew up in a little town, and then my parents went to the city in Guadalajara. And then I was in another area of Guadalajara, and then I am in the United States. So it's something that goes, it's something that goes as with a person, I guess, and you don't need to make that much big things to be recognized or not to be recognized. But I call it, we just need to be ready, when we are called to act, or to say something or do something. And sometimes it's in a very uncomfortable ways, like sometimes it's during my vacation time, or sometimes it's during some time that I really would not like to. But when a spirit calls, it calls.
Sometimes you just like to go, oh, come on, come back in a few days. I'm busy right now. Yeah, I've had one of those experiences this last weekend, so I understand where you're coming from. And you know, the old saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as we move forward in this interview, one of the things that I wanted to touch on was the idea that both of you are now teaching, right? I mean, are you both teaching in the Lilith Institute, or are you both teaching in your school?
I'm the head of the Workman Spirituality Master's Program at Sophia University, and I teach there, and I've been teaching with institutions for about 15 years.
And Carmen, are you going to be teaching?
I am teaching. I started teaching this year here in the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, now called Sophia University, and I was teaching for 7 or 8 years in 2 Mexican universities also. And then I have my informal teaching, because I usually have women around that they are learning something. And this is in a very informal way, but we don't call it teaching, we don't call it anything, but it's kind of a companionship for their development.
Yeah, a circle. Yeah, well, that's my favorite way of learning personally. So, since you are both teachers and you are both steeped in the wisdom, I have asked you to bring something tonight to the group. And Devora, I would like you to go first, if you wouldn't mind. Dora has a reading for us that she would like to do, and I want to honor her.
And thank you. I have a couple of things actually, and it's from this book, my book, Talking to Goddess, which is an anthology of prayers and blessings and oriki and chants and meditations from different traditions. And I'd like to start with a prayer. Born of sacred oral traditions and always inescapably for me the written text. I thank Ishtar Yanla Shekhinah, she who dwells within, Yamaya Lokun Tanit, guardians of the ocean, and for keeping me rooted, Asherah, essence of the trees, the seas, and the sacred poles, worshipped in the temple and the high places until she was thrown out of the temple and worshipped underground. Gratitude to she who still lives in our sacred texts, Abatalan, Chochmah, Sophia, gods of wisdom, Eshu, who guides our comings and goings, Kuan Yin, goddess of love, mercy, and compassion, she who is Rechem Rahamim, womb of compassion, Bina, and ancestress, warrior, prophet, poet, judge, Deborah, Eshed Lapidot, fiery woman, keeper of the flame. Oya and Lilith, winds of change, help us too to be catalysts of cultural transformation at a time when the world needs clear vision, truthful speech, and courageous acts. For teaching us the power of words, for infusing us all with Ashe and Ruach, life force and breath, and the energy and inspiration to do this work, we thank you. Ashe and Amen. And I thank Judy Grahn for her classic She Who poems. That theme reverberates, as you could hear. And I also wanted to share a midwife's meditation for healing the mother wound by Arisika Razak. She's given me permission to share this with you tonight. So I would ask listeners to just take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you wish. And it begins. Take a deep breath in and let it go to the center of your body. Feel the ebb and flow of your breath and the expansion of your belly. Let the belly be full and soft. Let the heart be open to healing. And let the mind feel its connection to the preciousness of life all around you. Imagine that you are surrounded by a fine golden light. In this light are your guides, your guardian angels, and the spirits of your ancestors. They are sending you love and healing. They are sending you grace and blessings. They are sending you hope and renewal. Breathe in their love and healing. Breathe out your fear and doubt. Breathe in their faith and courage. Breathe out what does not serve you. You are a child of spirit. You are a child of earth. You are a child of your mother, your earthly mother who loved you, your divine mother who blessed you, your earthly mother who abused you, your divine mother who saved you, your earthly mother who abandoned you, your divine mother who sheltered you, your earthly mother who raised you, your divine mother who taught you, your earthly mother who healed you. Breathe in and follow the energy signature pulsing at the center of your belly. Follow the energy cord resting at the place of your navel. And feel the umbilical connection to the being who is your birth mother. Breathe in and feel the sound of her heartbeat. Breathe in and feel the softness of her womb. Breathe in and feel the rocking of her movement. Whoever you are and however you came here, you entered through the body of a woman. Whoever you are and however you got here, your first home was a space beneath her heart. She is your gateway to life upon this planet. She is the matrix for bodily existence. She is the first being who should have offered you love. Whether you were carried in war or peace, love or hope, grief or depression, your first home was the body of your mother. Whether you are the child of rape and rejection, joyous love, or bitter longing, you are blood of her blood, bone of her bone, and flesh of her flesh. May your heart soften in gratitude towards the one who fed you with her life. May you pause and reflect on the suffering of her body. May you acknowledge the gift of the legacy of her flesh. Perhaps she betrayed this sacred charge. If so, know that in the moment you first entered form, the light of the Great Mother rested briefly in your body. Her radiance filled and surrounded you as she sung you out of the ether, blessing you with power and protection, healing and love. Nurtures and shelters, inspires and teaches, guides and protects. Rested briefly in the body of your mother, rested in you and in the bodies of all the women who have ever loved you. She is always here, and she is always with you. Remember always that you are her child. Remember always that she is your mother. Breathe in her love and protection. Breathe in what heals and holds you. Breathe out what does not serve you. Honor and praise to the mysteries of the womb. Honor and praise to the bearers of children. Honor and praise to the sacredness of all life. Honor and praise to our Divine Mother. Ashe.
Ashe. That was beautiful. Thank you. And who was the author again?
And thank you again to Arisika Razak of San Francisco.
Thank you. That was quite, and that was in your book, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And your book's available on Amazon, or is it available through your website?
Amazon, and also through, I think we have this on the website or the Facebook page somewhere, also through lulu.com.
Okay.
You type in Talking to Goddess, it's as an ebook or a paperback.
Excellent, thank you. I know that we have some people that want to download it as an ebook because it's too far away for them to have it sent. So that was lovely, that was wonderful, and I like the idea that it doesn't matter who your mother was, she was the vehicle that got you here. You know, without her, no matter who she was, you would not have life. And so that's a wonderful, wonderful reading. I think I'll take it and
you are
make it.
Right now.
Oh, I am?
Oh, there you are.
Okay. It comes and goes. It's all right. Are you all right? Yeah, you're all right.
There you are.
Yeah. I think I might take that and make that just an individual podcast as well, because it's so beautiful. And so that people can download that, just that, to listen to, and not listen to all the other that goes with it, because I think that that's my sense of it personally, because I have a very conflicted relationship with my mother, is that I'd have to listen to that several times before I can really get through it. I think there's probably some of the others out there that, you know, it's like, yeah, well,
Okay.
She got me here. Why couldn't she have left me alone then? You know, so I understand. Thank you very much. It's beautiful. So Carmen, I understand that you have something that's going to help us develop more creativity. Are you going to do that?
Yes, it's a meditation.
Okay.
I prepare a meditation. It's like 10 minutes meditation, and it's just to unleash the power of painting and having fun with being doing some art. So, are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, so get comfortable in your seat. Let your legs and arms to relax. When your spine finds the appropriate balance of tension and relaxation. Be aware of your breathing and do the adjustments needed for you to be comfortable. Softly, get to close your eyes if you haven't done so. Just breathe and relax. Find in your imagination a beautiful and safe place in the outdoors. A playful place. A sacred place that only you can access at this moment. A place that you know, or maybe a place that you saw in a picture or somebody told you about. look around, enjoy the view, find your personal way to connect with that place, to say hello, to smile, and why not to even ask permission to be there. You may also want to check the temperature and let your body to do the natural adjustments for it. Is it cold? Is it warm? Just let your body to adjust. Get comfortable and relax. And now, take a moment to acknowledge the other living beings there. The trees, the flowers, the animals. Just acknowledge them, say hello. And while you do so, look around and find the one that wants to be your guide for this experience. It can be an animal, a flower, a plant, a rock. Somebody or something that knows better that place than you. Also, it is time to ask permission to the place because you are going to use it as a living canvas. You may want to assure the place that you will care and that you will reverse any changes that you did before leaving this meditation. Now, get your body ready. You may want to be playful about it and make one arm or two arms or two legs being a paintbrush, a huge paintbrush, or your hips or your shoulders, or your head, or you just want to have big paintbrush near to you. Let your emotions to dictate the color and the air to be the helper, the friend. So I will ask you to try a little experiment. You can paint your guide. You can change the color of it. Be playful. Have fun. Ask your guide if he is or she is having fun. You can do any changes. Now that you did a little experiment, let's go for the whole place. Let's go for the full experience. I suggest that you get your beautiful music, whatever is a beautiful music for you in your head, and just dance, celebrate. Let the music suggest new colors. And you can dance and move around and paint and change colors and do and be a rainbow. You can be wild. You can be soft. You can just be. The only condition is just to check with them. Do they like it? Do they want something different? Do they seem to be having fun with you? Be bold, be brave, and be confident that you can reverse any change you are doing. I will be silent for a couple minutes, and I will let you just to play with your imagination. You are in a safe space, and the space is there also, there to protect you. now, I will ask you to pause for a moment. Look around and enjoy your creation. Take a mental picture of it. Keep it in your heart. This is a creation that only will you be able to see. This is a secret between this space and you. And you can come back anytime because it's your space. For now, it is time to say goodbye. It is time to check and do the changes you need to do. They may want to change back to the original. They may not want to change back. That's okay. They also have power and they can also change it on their own. Take your time to say goodbye for now. Take your time to show gratitude, to breathe, to relax, to smile. And whenever you are ready, just get back to the place, breathe, and open your eyes anytime.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And you're going to be doing some meditations for us in Spanish as well, not tonight, but in the future. Is that correct?
Yes, I am planning to do 7 meditations in Spanish. There is not that much material in Spanish.
Yeah, I know that. And what I want to tell our our listeners is it doesn't matter if you don't speak Spanish. I've gone to meditations that were done in Russian and Spanish and Arabic. The temper, the value is there. You may not understand the words, but you will get things that you wouldn't have believed possible because there is a construct that occurs. So I really want to encourage everyone to be part of this, and as we move forward, we are going to be doing some more interesting things. One of the things I want to do is to have more shows in the fall where we'll have individual speakers on to showcase their gifts and their talents. And Carmen, are you an artist? I gotta ask.
Yes, I am an artist.
Do you have something you can show us that's one of your paintings?
I am not in my home now.
No, okay.
But I can certainly bring something. Let me bring something.
Okay.
I am in my office.
Ah.
So this is a piece of wood. Just a plain piece of wood that I wanted to be used. And the word is alegría, which is happiness. And the piece of wood also. And the word amor,
for love.
And this is the word that I want to have very present when I am doing therapy. So I made this for myself when I'm working with clients.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we make our sanctuaries be, whether they are our office or our home, be reflective of who we are and what we want to be there. You know, I have Isis above my head. I have Newt beside me. I have an entire altar over here that I can see that in order to keep me centered and grounded, even whenever I'm fighting with my computer, which, you know, sometimes happens. Sometimes computer wins, sometimes I win. So I want to move on and talk a little bit about now. You've got this beautiful background, both of you. Where are you going now? So Devora, where do you see yourself going now?
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, I hope, teaching and priestessing and doing spiritual guidance. And I hope getting back to my research sooner rather than later and my writing.
Is there one thing that you would like to do that you haven't had time for, that you'd like to declare here that this is something I want to have in my space going forward?
Traveling the world.
Well, definitely. Let's go.
Yeah, traveling and perhaps doing research in a couple of other countries
I'm
that I haven't
so
been to.
jealous of Ion and Rachel. They're getting to go to Brittany and Prague, and I want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd love to meet some of the women, both who've written for this anthology and this, the circle of women that we are in touch with around the world. It would be great to spend some time with them.
Yeah, I of course, basically, anybody wants to travel, I'm ready to go. My bags can be packed in 15 minutes. So, Carmen, for you, what do you? I mean, you're a newly minted PhD in the U.S. You've got, working in both countries. What do you see for yourself as something you want to declare that this is where I want to go going forward?
I think 20 years ago I made the dream that I want to work in 7 different places. I don't know why I came up with the number of steps. I wanted to work in 7 different places, and at that moment I owned the company, the psychotherapy company, and my shaman teacher said, I don't see you speaking in Spanish. He said, I see you in another language. So I figured out English is the next thing to do, but I also have the feeling that I will be traveling or doing something. I am getting ready for the license here in California, which is quite a demanding process. And my dream is to keep teaching. I want to teach psychology there is so much need for the Latino perspective in the psychology field. But the calling for priestessing, for doing spiritual guidance is there. So Deborah and Sharon and another priestess and I, we are putting together a network, a spiritual guidance network. And also I would like to travel and lecture whenever it's possible. So as you, I can pack in 15 minutes too. Yeah, so I just let the magic to happen when it needs to be happening.
Yeah. I think you should definitely put Costa Rica on your list. I lived there for 2 years, and it is such an incredible spiritual country, but it's very difficult to find spiritual teachers there who are not in the church. And when I was there, I was part of a spiritual center, and we had fabulous women from all over the world who came and studied with us. And we were there for the International Congress of Women that was held in San Jose. And it was interesting to meet the women of Costa Rica who are, well, most of them are willing to claim they are brujas. So there's a very powerful thread of that throughout the Costa Rican attitude, and Nicaragua's Nicas are quite interesting as well, and both of them are just, my experience is they're so hungry that they would come to lectures and events where they could barely understand what we were talking about because we were speaking in English or Dutch or some other language. And to have it in Spanish would be such an incredible gift. It's one of the things I always encourage my Spanish clients is that, don't try and make it with the Anglo population, because you have a much larger population that speaks Spanish that is absolutely dying for your work. They are seeking it out on a regular basis, and there's a very finite amount of it being created. So I really want to support you in that, and anything I can do to support you in that, please let me know. As I've told you.
Yeah. In Mexico, a bruja blanca or a white witch is the one who will read the tarot, who will do some kind of magic, and it's very similar to the word of priestess. It's just we call ourselves brujas blancas, and this gives you permission to do and to step into magic for healing purposes.
Yeah, I met a wonderful woman down in Costa Rica. I can't remember her name, but her book was De que vuelan, vuelan. Those that can fly, fly. and it was about witches in Costa Rica. So it's quite fascinating. Yeah, so I'd like to open up the forum here and invite our audience. If you have any questions, you can do one of two things. You can raise your hand, which means that you kind of click on the little hand icon, and I'll see it. Or you can put in or you can click on the question, and I will unmute you so that you can speak to our presenters and ask any questions from me or from them. And I'm really would encourage you that this is an opportunity to really speak to the people that are here and to ask them any questions that you would like to ask. So, and if you don't ask, I'll call on you. How's that for a threat? So I see that there's quite a few interesting people here. So I'd like to hear some questions from you. If you will either raise your hand or click on the question so that I can see it. Kim, I think that your question was earlier, but I'm going to unmute you and let you speak. Let's see. Great. Kim, are you there? Kim? This is one of the problems. Can you hear me? Okay, we're going to put her back on mute. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, Susan Weiland. Okay, can you speak? Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is for Carmen. So, what is let me say, I hope I said this right, Kyandera, or Kyandera? Did you understand it?
Yeah, yes. A curandero or a curandera will be also the one learning magic to use for healing purposes, and they may use herbs, or they may use their hands, or they may use prayers to heal. It's not attached to a religion, it's attached to more of the shamanism indigenous traditions. So they may use their hands, their body, or their knowledge to heal, whether it's a physical illness or a mental illness or a spiritual difficulty. And they are actually the curanderos are the ones who were helping in the community the role that we know now as psychologists or a priest or some kind of formal training, but they were the ones who did it.
So Susan, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I had heard, well, there's a lot of Latino influence in the culture I live in. I live in Texas, and I've heard Kyandera Quianderas and Quianderos referred to before, and I was just wondering if that was the same. I knew that wasn't the same thing as a Bruja Blanca, but I was wondering what the difference was. Thank you.
I would say for the American indigenous American, we would say it's similar to a white woman or a white man in that tradition. So the person will go to look for an advice one way or another.
Okay, so do we have any other questions? I can see we have Andrea here, two Andreas, and Bonnie, Christine, Margaret. Anyone who has any questions, I'd like you to ask them now. And if not, we're going to go on with the interview. Okay, well, let's go on, and we have about 7 minutes left, but I would like to thank you both for being present and being with us tonight. One of the things that happens with these interviews is they get quite a few views after the interviews, and partly that's because of the time difference, and
Sure.
so if they have questions later on, they'll be able to send me the emails, and I'll send them on to you. But one of the things I want to be able to do is to make people more available, because it's wonderful that we have this tremendous resource, which is stepping into ourselves, and but to reach out and touch the individuals that wrote that is a treasure that most of us don't get the opportunity to do. We think of, oh, well, those are people in the books. Well, they're people, and they're people that want to talk to you and they want to be involved with you. So don't be afraid to let us know that you'd be interested in getting more information. And I will have
I just want to thank you so much, Gloria, for arranging all of this. I know, I can only imagine how much work it's been to coordinate all of our schedules and get all of our information and to do this. We're very grateful.
Yeah, it's well, there's a phrase for it. It's called herding cats.
I'm sure it was that.
Yeah, if you ever want to prepare for going on tours with people, just do a telesummit, and then you'll get the same idea. Getting all the same people in the same places at the same time.
Sure.
So, as a last note, I want to give you each a minute or two to talk about, what it is that you would like people to contact you about, or what is it that you want them to know that you are offering. And Deborah, we're going to begin again with you.
Well, it's two things, really. I mean, the final thought is just the importance of women recognizing their own spiritual authority. And it's something we teach in the program, becoming self-authorized. And I just think that's a really important piece, and maybe one of the reasons for people to read such a book. I also hope it will be a wonderful resource. For either my Talking to Goddess or Lilith's Fire, or any questions, people can write to me at Deborah Grenn, DeborahGrenn @me.com, or Amazon or Lulu for Talking to Goddess. So again, many thanks.
Okay, and you do have classes that are taught. Are they available to anyone who's not in the Sophia Institute?
Yes, we have a certificate program through which people can take single classes, and I also offer classes through Lilith Institute. So best thing is for them to just contact me, and we can go from there and find out what their interests are and so on.
Okay, well, we'll have all that up on whenever we have the website up. We are still in the process of learning the possibilities of membership websites. Anybody out there who wants to help me with a membership website, I'm willing to receive. So, Carmen, in a way, I would say you're beginning again. So, you've had this career, and now you're beginning another career. Where do you see yourself going?
I'm working with Latino population and mostly Mexican, so it was an easy started again. In that sense, in the spiritual guidance counseling service, I can help those who they may need somebody who listens carefully and with care and love and compassion. I do my best sometimes. And also, particularly Latino female or male, because it is so hard to be working in this country with a second language, with another culture or something. So I have made beautiful contacts. Sometimes I write for a website that targets counselors, and I have received emails from counselors who are doing their master, and their first language is Spanish. So we were to share some frustrations of the system or something, and that's okay. I'm also willing to listen to that.
Yeah, I have a wonderful lawyer in Seattle who has spent many years working with the Latino population, and he's married to a Colombiana, and he has written a book about dealing with the not only immigration issues, but the issues that whenever a Latino gets involved with the law, which can be, something like, having a license for a restaurant. that sometimes there's issues there that we never think of. And they get, is of one case where a gentleman had an ice cream truck, and he got sidewise with the local the local police, and they seized his ice cream truck and kept it for 2.5 years. And it was a very difficult thing to get that back. And, although he had been born in this country, he was, of Latino background. And so, I think that that's something that we need to realize, is that we are very insular in some ways. So open your mind and allow for the fact that there's other people out there, and they didn't have the background you do, and maybe they need a little more care. And if you have a Latina friend or a Latino friend that needs some help, maybe Carmen would be willing to help you out with them, because I know that she is a loving and caring being, and a being of light who's going to carry forward this truly remarkable lineage that she has brought forth. And we are blessed by her presence here in this country. And are you going to be teaching with Dr. Guerin as well at her institute?
We share some teaching in the Sophia University, so we see each other very often there. And I teach mainly for the counseling part of it, and she's in the women's spirituality, but we taught one class together. I was her teacher assistant, and I just love it. So yeah, we share some projects together.
Good. Well, you are going to be teaching here, so both of them are available. And one of the things I want you to realize as you're listening to us is we have a wealth of knowledge that we are laying at your feet. As I was sitting there writing out and getting all the information from these women, and I'm writing down the number of years that they've been involved, I realized that I had over 1,000 years of experience. We're offering that to you. We're saying, stand on our shoulders and let us help you rise, because we do know that you can truly be the priestesses that you should be, and you are. And whether you're in Texas or whether you're in Brazil or France or wherever you are, you're welcome here. This is a gathering of priestesses. This is an open circle, and you are welcome here. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you both for being here. You've been a joy.
Thank you.
We'll give you the link to our recording as soon as we get done here. And thank you all, and good night. And I want to remind you that we will be back on Wednesday. And oh my goodness, I've given my schedule and I have no memory. We're going to be back on Wednesday with Kim Duckett, who's listening to us tonight, and Aaron Johnson. And they will be speaking and telling us about their story. And believe me, it's wonderful. Everybody's story is a little different. Everybody's story is unique. And they have what's an offering for you that no one else can give you. So thank you, and good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
And we stopped recording?
Mm-hmm. And we're stopped.
Now I don't see Gloria.